Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to talk about gratitude. I was just thinking about this the other day Hill and I just took the kids on a trip to Disney, and we were gone for a full 7 days, which was the longest trip tied the longest trip we've ever done. But doing it in Disney was definitely a lot different than the other trips we've done. And I just had me thinking about how grateful I am that Hill and I are able to do trips like that, especially with our kids, and take them to do things like that. And we're just grateful for all the people that we can count on at the restaurants and that help us with the properties and just these teams that we've built. But it had me thinking about just gratitude in general, how it's an intentional mindset. And I know a lot of people that struggle with being grateful for what they have, or they have that kind of poor me attitude. And really, to me, gratitude and positivity just kind of go hand in hand. The more grateful you are, naturally, the more positive you're going to be. And the more of a positive person you are, I feel like it's easier to be grateful and not take things for granted and have that attitude of gratitude where you're just intentional about being grateful for the little things and the big things. Even when times are hard, there's always something to be grateful for during that time. But at the end of the day, nobody wants to be around somebody that is negative or not grateful for anything. That just brings down your energy so much. I can think of times when I've been a negative person or ungrateful, and it brings down my energy level and my focus and my abilities to be a good husband, father, leader so much that, it's something that I've definitely tried to be intentional about working on. And not that I've struggled with it a lot. It's just one of those things where it just kind of goes in waves. The devil tries to get in my head and tries to deceive me and make me think negatively or be negative towards someone or something. And it's just something that you really have to work on and be intentional about. You have to really be intentional about focusing on the positives and being grateful, as opposed to letting negativity sneak in, because it's so easy to let negativity win. But if you want to be a high performer, a leader, or successful in any way, shape, or form, nobody wants to follow somebody that's negative. Nobody wants to follow somebody that isn't grateful for their team, isn't grateful for the people around them. Because at the end of the day, if somebody is following you, they want to feel like you're grateful for them. They want to feel like you care about them, that you appreciate them. And as a leader, it's even nice when your team shows appreciation to you. It makes me feel good when they show that appreciation to me. So at the end of the day, I think that you have to be intentional about how you're using positivity as a way of leading. You can have bad days. I'm not saying that you can't have bad days. I have bad days sometimes. But I've developed this muscle, and it's this discipline where when I'm having a bad day or I overreact to something, I realize it a lot quicker now, and I change my mindset a lot quicker now, or I am much quicker to say, okay, what are the positives that can come from this issue that I'm dealing with? What are some ways I can be grateful? What can I learn from? Because that's usually what it comes down to, is what can I learn from this situation that's causing me to be negative or to be mad or angry. But I think that at the end of the day, really focusing on how you can change your mindset in the moment and developing that muscle, developing that discipline to be able to turn around and change it to a positive, something negative to a positive, or being able to not let it bring you all the way down, it is super critical, especially as you're trying to grow a team and be more successful. And I think that it's easy to take things for granted. I'm sure you feel this way too, Chapman, sometimes with, the business, with TLC or with other things that you have going on, or even, I can easily find myself taking for granted, the time I'm able to be with Hill and the kids. Like this past trip that we just took, I can take that for granted so easily And I have to really be intentional about just being grateful for the fact that I can take a 7-day trip and things go well at the restaurants while we're gone. Things go well at the gym. Austin take care of the property stuff, and really just be grateful for that and be intentional about making sure those people know that we're grateful for them.
Yeah, I definitely know what you're talking about. It's funny because when I go to bed, usually at night, that's kind of when I pray for the most part of the day. And usually the first thing that I start off with, and I don't even think about it, but now that I'm thinking about it now, usually the first thing that I start off with is talking about, praying, thankful for, specific things that happened that day, general things, but that's always what I start with. And one thing that I know I need to work on too, which is, it's funny that I'm so easily go into, praying and being thankful, but I find myself during the day, kind of taking for granted certain things instead of being thankful, like you mentioned. Like Callie's really good about.
Well, it's so easy to be negative, right?
It's so easy.
It's
and
so easy to let that one little thing piss you off.
Yeah.
And just spiral.
Yeah. And my big thing is, if we have, whether it's a slow sales day or something like that, Callie will be the first one to say, oh, well, we had 5 new customers though.
Yeah.
Or, at least we had people in there today. Or at least we didn't have payroll today. Like she's very good at kind of turning it.
Just yesterday it was busier than normal.
Yeah.
Because it's that easy. It's easy to forget that quickly.
Yeah. Well, and I said to my staff, because usually we have the week right after school ends is always notoriously slow. It is for you guys. Sometimes it is for us. Has been for the past, almost 8 years. And we're, we kind of prepared for it. And, I told our managers, I was like, hey, just so you know, it's going to probably be slow this week.
Right.
We need to but we had other things to focus on towards the weekend for our trailer event. So it wasn't a huge deal. But we ended up having one of the busiest sales weeks we've had in, I don't know, like 3 months.
Yeah.
And I said, we were rushing to get stuff done. And when we were in there, I had a whole list of things to do that I was not able to do because I was making drinks.
Right.
And good problems to have, but I wasn't purposely negative about it all. But instead of, kind of switching around, being, thankful for, what could happen or what did happen, I went into that week thinking, okay, this is going to be slow.
Yeah.
And just it switched, and obviously very thankful. I think we texted you guys when we were gone, like, hey, or at least I texted Hill. I was like, yeah, this has been like a super busy week. It's super weird, and just very thankful because of it. And I've definitely learned in the past 7 years since owning a business how to kind of try to switch my mindset, and I'm still working on it because I'm still very, very bad about it. But I'm a lot better than I was as far as changing how I'm thinking, what I'm thankful for, and what not to kind of bode me down.
Right, and it definitely, like I was saying earlier, it does affect your team. If you as the leader are negative, or they can tell when you're having that, when you are bringing that negative attitude or that ungrateful attitude to the business, then it's like, how do you expect them
100%.
to then perform at a level that you want them to perform at when you're the one that's supposed to set the tone? And I think that's something that a lot of, especially young leaders, struggle with, that I've seen, is your attitude sets the tone, like all the way down to just that shift, let alone how the business itself runs. But like even down to that shift, when you've got people working around you and you're in a negative mood, or you're just ungrateful, just that people can feel that.
100%.
And it matters so much if you want to get more positivity out of your team, because at the end of the day, especially when you're dealing with customers face to face, it matters so much that your team is in a positive mindset and they're giving that good positive service, and the customer is feeling that and they're grateful. That was just one of the things we realized at Disney. Yeah, we met so many, obviously we meet a lot of employees, but this was the first time that I can think of 2 instances specifically where we actually it was just a scenario of we talked to somebody for 15, 20 minutes straight. There was this one girl at Magic Kingdom. We were just sitting. We had found a spot for the fireworks, kind of off the beaten path a little bit. And Hill asked her, "Is this a good spot?" And she's like, "Actually, this is like a hidden gem spot because all people want to be in front of the castle, but this is just off to the side, just over the bridge. The parade comes this way, right in front of it, and you can still see the fireworks really good." We're like, okay, cool. And then we just ended up talking to her. She's in the college program. Why do you like working in Disney? She's like, "I've been here since January. I love it. It's just I'm around positivity and happy people all the time." So, and she had just finished college and was telling us how I just want to make this my career. It isn't even about the money for me. I am around positivity and just happiness all the time that I just love getting to do that. And it made me think, I'm like, yeah, that's how I want our employees to feel. That the leader, me or Hill or whoever's managing, whether that's, Cody or Ruth or Charlie or Austin, whatever the case may be, that they're bringing that positive energy so everybody's in a good mood and they enjoy working there. And I understand it's really hard to say that, okay, well, somebody wants to, work their whole life working in a restaurant or whatever, but there are people that do enjoy it that much. There are people that enjoy just being a barista because that makes them happy. And they're around positive people they work with, positive customers. Just having that I know Disney like amplifies this, in their culture. But it was cool because then, we talked to another employee and he was a lifeguard at our resort, and just a similar story. He'd been working there for 3.5 years. He wasn't in the college program, but just enjoyed what he did. He said it was just an awesome job. They're super flexible. They're positive to work for. Those are the things I want people to say about working for me. And that's where I'm like, okay, well, I have to make sure I'm staying positive, that I have a grateful mindset, that I'm bringing that every day, even on the days where I'm struggling. Like, as the leader, you have to bring that every single day to your team. Again, it's okay if you need some time, to vent. You vent to Callie, I can vent, I vent to Hill or whatever. But do that behind closed doors. Don't do that in front of your team. Don't do that in front of the people you're trying to lead, because they'll catch on to that. And the negativity spreads like wildfire. It's way easier to spread negativity than it is positivity. And I think it's just very key for leaders nowadays, is just making sure your mindset is where it needs to be, and being able to be disciplined to not allowing a negative situation to get you down, to make you negative, to get you to react in anger and frustration, which I'm still working on too. But I'm a lot better than I was a few years ago. I'm a million times better than I was 10 years ago. That's just working on that and being intentional about that. Do you have any other thoughts as far as on that part of it?
No, I can definitely agree as far as, spreading negativity. You mentioned like wildfire, 100% agree. I've seen it. I've done it. It's very easy to, and I think you do a good job of, obviously I bartend for you guys, sometimes once a week or serve or whatever that is.
Sure.
And, you always walk in no matter what time it is. And I don't think, maybe a handful of times when I've seen you walk in and you're, pissed off automatically or whatever. But for the most part, you usually walk in and you're, high with a positive attitude, whatever that is. And I think you do a good job too of, if you can tell, somebody else that's working for you might not be in a great mindset or might be, negative or something already to start the day. I think you usually do a pretty good job of, trying to get them out of that slump, and it's pretty obvious that, you're purposefully doing that.
Oh, yeah. I try to intentionally give them some encouragement, just some small encouragement or small bit of positivity or
something
whatever,
like, hey,
just to get them to
go.
at least start thinking
something
out of whatever's going through, because everybody has stuff they're going through, and it can change. But caring is definitely a big part of that. Just actually caring about the people that work for and with you, that goes a long way. And I think that, some things to avoid really is to stay in a more positive mindset, and having that gratitude mindset is, avoid avoid that poor me mentality. Whenever something negative does happen to you, just don't go over the top with it. Oh, poor me. I have to deal with so much. Everybody's dealing with stuff. But, okay, how can you fix it? And then how can you learn from it? Avoid gossiping. That's a big one. I think that's, especially when you're working around a lot of people, gossip can create a huge negative atmosphere. And avoiding that, especially as the leader, you shouldn't be involved in the gossip side. And honestly, just avoiding, if you can't work if there's a negative person that you're consistently around, say that works for you, trying to work with them and help them, it obviously is the first thing to do. But at the end of the day, you have to learn what's best for your business and your culture. And if somebody's always negative, that's not going to be good for your business and culture, and it's just not worth having them on the team. And now outside of work, if it's a friend or whatever, you just have to slowly start distancing yourself. And, the biggest thing I do is, if I start distancing myself from someone, is I start praying for them more to hopefully that they can see some sort of light and some sort of positivity in their life. Because as we've talked before in other podcasts, the temperature somebody is, whether if they are running at a lukewarm temperature and they are just not very positive and it's poor me, it's negativity, nobody wants to be around that. And although that can be hard sometimes if they're a close friend or family, being honest with them and letting them know this is why I'm distancing myself isn't a bad thing. Hopefully that helps them snap out of it.
Yeah.
Some things that I think of, and I know that you kind of said this for yourself with praying at the end of the day, but I think there's a lot of power in starting your day with just verbally saying some things you're grateful for. And if you can't say 3 or 4 things you're grateful for every single morning, then you're just not even trying. There's got to be something that you're grateful for. But just starting that mindset of I'm going to be grateful and I'm going to be positive and just being intentional. Like a lot of my prayer time is in the morning because it just helps my mindset for the day of being in that mental state of gratitude and positivity, and how can I serve others, how can I help others, how can I be a better leader today, a better husband, a better father. Those are those things that really help me in the morning. And at the end of the day, that all comes back to my foundation, which is my faith in Jesus. That's my foundation. So ever since that became my foundation back in, I've been a Christian, at least in my eyes, I've been a Christian as long as I can remember, but like truly relying on Jesus starting in around 2017 and really leaning into as my foundation was transformational and still is on a daily basis for my attitude and how I act and react to things. And because it's easy to never look for positivity and to look at the negative things. And I always use this example. I've used it a few times with talking with other business people and leaders that are struggling with this positivity and gratitude thing. Like, well, if I just looked at negativity only, when my mom passed away when I was 20, I took the mindset of I'm just grateful I had 20 years with her and I had an amazing mom. There's other people that could have just the easier route of poor me, why God did you do this? This is unfair, life's unfair, on and on and on and on. But that wouldn't have served me. And I'm blessed and lucky that at the age of 20, I realized that attitude would not serve me, because that's when it's easy to spiral. But at the end of the day, even in those situations, finding little bits of positivity and gratitude is just super important. And I just encourage, especially new leaders or young leaders, to just really work on that discipline of being positive and having a grateful mindset.